Listen at least as much as you talk. So you have to ask yourself, do I talk a lot? And if you do talk a lot, maybe you need to learn to talk less and listen more. So listen at least as much as you talk, if not more. Hi guys, it's Jade from Savvy Mamas, and today I want to talk to you about how to overcome bad money habits. So the first thing is, we need to realize that sin is just an area in our lives where we lack responsibility and, of course, Jesus. James 4:17 says, "If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them." So in our lives, we all have our own goals, especially when it comes to finances. They may be positive goals, or they just be maybe no goals at all, but they are still thoughts and reasonings nonetheless. And in our heart of hearts, and in our deepest thoughts, we know what we should do, and oftentimes we don't do them. And that is what's called a bad habit and a sin. And so we have to learn to really acknowledge the fact that we are sinning, even when it comes to financial things and financial bad habits. It's so easy to point the finger at someone when it's, overeating or being promiscuous or all those types of things. And then in our financial world, we can kind of just cover it up with a cozy little blanket. But nonetheless, we really do have to acknowledge that not doing what the Lord tells us to do with our finances is, in fact, sin. And it's a very easy one to cover, but it is something we have to personally acknowledge and address in ourselves. Not in a, I'm sinning, I'm going to beat myself up kind of way, but we have to look at ourselves and say, I do lack responsibility in this area and I need Jesus's help. So we have to get to a point where we can really look at ourselves honestly and wholly and pray and ask God for help, and then also decide to take a step forward and actually take responsibility for that area in our lives. Number 2, we have to realize that you matter. So oftentimes, if we grow up in a environment of neglect or abuse or not a lot of emotional care or even physical care, we tend to reflect that on ourselves as adults. If we don't overcome it, we don't look at our childhood as a learning lesson, and we rather just let it continue to abuse us and to hurt us as adults, then we will reflect that most especially in our finances and in our relationships, but very, very much in our finances. Oftentimes you can look at your own childhood, and if you haven't allowed yourself to really honestly look at it, honestly address who hurt you and how they hurt you, and come to a point where you realize that you deserve better, you will still hurt yourself when it comes to your money. So if you were a kid who didn't have a lot of things, and I'm not just saying material things, but I mean a lot of food, you weren't taken care of, maybe mommy and daddy weren't around to cook you meals, and you fed yourself, you took care of yourself. Well, sometimes in your finances, you will end up living in strife financially. You will always feel like you're trying to make ends meet. You will always, and sometimes too, people growing up like that will tend to spend their money on food. They'll eat out all the time. They don't know how to be resourceful and cook for themselves. And so you keep yourself in a perpetual cycle, just like your childhood was, because you don't know any better. So the first step to changing that is to realize that you deserve better. And the way you can teach yourself that, I know it's easy to say, but we have to do something practical to teach ourselves that we deserve better. And the one very first step to do that, to change that mindset, is to save 10% of everything you make, you earn, or everything you've been blessed with. And that savings at the beginning can be up to you. What are you going to do with that? Is that for a vacation? What is that for? Or if you decide you actually want to save that for investments, that's up to you. Whatever is going to make your life happy. Not everyone is an investor. Not everyone is a vacationer. And some of us are just in the middle like me. So you need to decide what is going to make you happy and decide that you matter and take a step forward. Save 10%. It is not very difficult to save. Maybe you make, let's say you make $500 a week, right? So you get paid $1,000 every 2 weeks. 10% of that would be $100. Now, a lot of us might be like, I don't have, making ends meet. But what could you do? Could you maybe go to a discount grocery store to save a little money that way? Could you maybe walk more and drive less? What could you do to make sure you're saving the 10% to teach yourself that you matter? That's very important. Number 3 is to learn to be teachable. Many, many times I've done it in my life where we will get so many different mindsets and teachings, and then we think we have it all together. And then we run into somebody who might make us feel a little uncomfortable when it comes to different areas in our life, and we just close our minds off. Now, the one thing I have my mind closed off to is the fact that I love Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. But there are many other things in life where I have learned to stop talking and just listen. There's a famous quote that I love, and it says, "Listen at least as much as you talk." So you have to ask yourself, do I talk a lot? And if you do talk a lot, maybe you need to learn to talk less and listen more. So listen at least as much as you talk, if not more. So we have to learn to be teachable. We have to learn to shut off our own opinions and thoughts and what we consider facts sometimes, and listen to the other perspective. Even if we do have the facts and we do have maybe a better answer in our mind, at least we can learn about people, we can learn about human psychology, we can learn why people do certain things, we can gain compassion, we can just learn about the world around us. And the more we do that, the more effective we are with other people. But also, the more we become teachable, the more we can grow and change who we are and enhance what God has already given us and taught us. And when it comes to finances, the more teachable we are, then maybe, what we thought was a good investment, we could turn into tenfold, 10 times more if we were to just listen to somebody who's done it a little better, or just be a little more teachable. So those are 3 tips to help you start on your journey to break up with your bad money habits, how to overcome bad money habits. We all have them. And even when we work on them, sometimes they slip back in. Finances, like I said, is an easy sin. It's easy to sin in finances because nobody sees it. You can just blanket it over. But I want to challenge you today to look at yourself honestly in love and allow Jesus to change you, to change your mind so that you can be a blessing to others. What does it mean to be a blessing to others? It means to have responsibility over them. If you are only self-consumed, whether it be in poverty or in riches, sometimes people like to say money doesn't matter. But you know what? That is one of the most selfish things we can say, because money does matter. Because if you have finances, obviously you can bless people in many other ways, but finances are there for that reason too. And if you want to have better money habits so you can be a better blessing to people, I want to challenge you today. I hope this helped you. I love you guys. God bless you and have a good week. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video below, and please leave a comment and let me know what you thought.